各位网友朋友，大家好。很不好意思哈，那么刚才呢，这个网络呢有点小小的问题啊，那我们就重新开始啊。今天又是我们的这个网络祈福共修啊。那在这个今天这个念佛之前呢，我呢先讲故事。
And before we practice and chant, I'll say a story first.
好，我就重新讲啊，重新开始。
So I'll restart the story. So this story that I'm going to tell today is a story about being cool. I have about 2 or 3 stories that are true stories. They are not made-up stories. If you found that it's actually similar to your story, probably, well, it just happened to be. So the first story about a very young, beautiful lady who works in a food processing factory. And she worked for several years and worked very happily, and she liked the work. And one afternoon, she went to the factory's freezer. And, you know, we need to have food. But the food storage is sometimes very, have a lot of things that they need to care. So they need to have a big freezer to store. It's like a food warehouse, and it's very, very cold. It actually is very big. It's much bigger than the picture shows. And it has equipment that can keep the temperature low. Whatever you put in it, whether it's food or other things that they won't get rotten when you put into the warehouse. And so one day, she went inside, and somehow the door closed. Maybe some careless person, you know, just carelessly closed the door and without even knowing. But, you know, the door is actually very, very thick because they need to keep the temperature cold inside. And there's no window inside. And she cried for a few hours and nobody here. And so she has to wait. Maybe accidentally there will be somebody coming here. But if she stays there until the next day, she probably will die. And so she was very frightened. And she was very, very anxious and frightened, and she almost lost consciousness. And all of a sudden, the door opened, and she tried hard to open her eyes. It was actually the security person in the factory who actually coming in and took her out. And of course, she woke up and recovered, and she asked the security person, and she said, "How did you know that I was inside?" And then the security person said, "I have already worked in this factory for more than 30 years. Actually, I'm just a security guard, and among all the stuff, I'm, you know, not a high position at all. Usually people don't seem to see me, and very few people would greet to me. Very few people would greet to me. You are the only one among all those young and beautiful ladies who would greet to me. And every morning you would say, 'Good morning.' And when you leave, you will always say, 'Goodbye, I'll see you tomorrow.' And, you know, you're so polite and always greet me. And so, of course, and you're very young and beautiful. Of course, I will remember you. But that day, in the morning, you came here and said good morning to me and said, 'Oh, it's a sunny day.' But among all those hundreds of stuff, I didn't hear you wave me goodbye and say, see me tomorrow. And so I was afraid that there might be something happened. You see, you treat me so well. Well, actually, she just greeted to him. So the security guard was afraid that there was something happen, and so the security guard searched all around, and he didn't see her. And all of a sudden, he thought, somebody had also had that accident before and was freezing in that warehouse. And so he opened the door and saved her. And so she was very, very happy and grateful. So that's the story, and you can contemplate on what it means. The second story is about purchasing a gun. So it's dozens of years ago in England. It was the time when the economy was not very good, and many companies and manufacturers actually went bankruptcy. And there's one manufacturer, I forgot if it is manufacturing car parts, automobile parts, or what. And it was also quite dangerous. The workers cannot get paid, and they couldn't get any orders, And usually, like every 20, 30 years, there will be economic crisis. And so that year was that crisis. And so there's one person, I forgot his name. He doesn't have a good lifestyle, and he always smoke and drink. Smoke won't make you dizzy or drunk, but he would drink too much, so he would get drunk, and he would bully his wife, and then the next day he cannot get up in time to go to work, and so he didn't do the work well. And therefore, when the company was not in good economic situation, most of the employees cannot have income. And so the directors of the company decided to dismiss some employees. So he was one of them. He didn't think about, he didn't work well, he didn't work hard, and he just got angry. He thought, this is the first job he had, and he was already been there for more than 10 years. And he was already used to the work, and he felt really painful when he was dismissed. At that time, usually they will tell him a few days in advance. They don't just tell him to leave right away. And so his boss told him and said, after a few days, you don't need to come back. But these days, he can still went back. And so he was very angry. He went to, there are stores that sell guns. And so he purchased a gun, and he wanted to kill the boss. He didn't think about what he behaved, and he actually didn't treat his family well. He smoked and drank and gambled. His income was low already at that time. Say, for example, in England, so 100 pounds at the time. Well, but the daily expenses, he couldn't cover all the expenses. And in the gambling, he would lose like 20 or 30 pounds, almost a big chunk of the salary. And when his wife would blame him, he would feel very upset and unhappy, and he would even beat the children. And so his children always be very far from him. And so that day, he buy the gun, and actually, the picture was not right. It was just handgun. And they're, those working class, they don't have big houses, and he has 3 children. He has his mother there too, and he has a very small house. And the children are usually play inside the house, and sometimes on the bed and jumping here and there. And then they would sometimes they would do pillow fights. And then the eldest child took one pillow and saw the gun, and they didn't know what it was. And then the youngest child couldn't even hold it, and then they saw that's very interesting. And then kids like to run around, and he didn't stop. And then the eldest son shoot the gun, and then he killed the youngest son. The eldest son was shocked. And everybody was shocked and didn't know what to do. And you can imagine the grandmother's sadness, and then everybody's completely shocked. And then they called the father back, and then the father was also shocked, and he blamed that his eldest son, and he said, and he also shoot his eldest son and killed his eldest son. This worker, his mother, they were very sad and right in front of him, and saw him kill the grandchild. And then the mother was so angry that she took over the gun and killed his son, this young man. And then the mother also killed herself. So that was the sad story. So these are all true stories. The next story is about the head of the police bureau. So many years ago, this head of the police bureau, his ex-wife died, and so he married another lady. And then the new wife went to the and he felt very uncomfortable and always felt very sick. And he always felt the illness is exactly the same as the previous wife. So it was right after she went to the previous wife's grave, and then she felt very sick and uncomfortable, and then that illness was very similar to the previous wife's illness. And then after a few years, the children from the previous wife already is a teenager, had a car accident and died. This, the head of the police bureau, this person is not very virtuous. He was dealing with a case. A girl was raped and then was killed, and he was the one who dealt with this. And then the governors even know that, the mayors know that, and so he was just a policeman at the time, and he was the one in charge of this case. According to all the evidences there, he was not able to catch the murderer. But he wanted to show that he was a very capable policeman. So he took a very honest young man, and through torturing this young man and beat him terribly. when he tortured this young man for quite a few days, and he used all kinds of ways to torture him, and who can bear that? And that honest young man, after all these torture, he had to admit that he admitted. And then the policeman actually created a story for him, and he accepted and remembered it and told that he was the one who murdered and raped the girl and murdered the girl. And so this was one case, but this policeman actually also did the same to other people. And his previous wife and his next wife actually was sick because of those sad souls, came back and tried to revenge. And his daughter also had an accident. People would think it was a traffic accident, but actually it's also because of the revenge. I'm sure after hearing this story, you don't feel very happy, but those are true stories. I know that there are actually, well, I would say there are many sad stories in the world. I will tell you another story about a director in Brazil, Walter Salles. He's a Brazilian filmmaker, very famous Brazilian filmmaker, Walter Salles. And he was very famous in 1998. It was not a long time ago. It's about like 20-something years. And he was going to make a movie. It's called the Central Station of a railway station. And so he was choosing actors and actresses. And so he went to the railway station. There were lots of people in the railway station. And there was a teenager, a young man. And that teenager waved at him and said, "Come here and I can clean your leather shoes." And this director, he was actually very busy. He said, no, I don't have time. And he was about to go, and he was waiting for passing the street. And then the young man came and said, this young man was very shy and said, could you even just borrow me, lend me some money? I don't even have food today. And next time you pass by here, I'll return you. And then Walter thought, in Brazil, there are so many cheaters like this. But it's good that he's rich enough and he can just give him some money. And so he said, well, just take it. You don't need to give it back to me. And then the young man said, oh, mister, I will return you when I got the money. And then Walter thought, I don't think he would give it back to me. But after half a month, Walter actually already forgot about giving the money to that young man at the central train station because he was so busy. This is not a big thing. And after 2 weeks, he passed by that railway station, and then that young man waved at him again. Oh, mister, I'm going to give you back the money. And then Walter thought, wow, this beggar is giving back the money to me. Wow, he's very, I thought that he's just doing, cleaning the shoes, and he kept his words. And when the young man was giving back the money to Walter, he saw that the money was wet because the young man has held the money for a long time. And Walter thought, I don't really need this, but then he felt that this young man, he didn't lie, he didn't cheat me. He actually is virtuous, and he did, well, give the money back to me. And just such a small thing, he was actually looking for an actor. And one of the actors that he was looking for is a teenager. He never thought that he would go and find that actor, from a beggar on the street or like him. But this young man really gave him such a good impression. And when he looked at him, he thought, he has also good appearance too. And so he said, don't go away. I'll give you that money. I don't need that money to be back, but I would like you to come to the center of the city, downtown, and I'll give you the address. I am a filmmaker. My name is Walter. Remember, tomorrow, I'll wait for you, okay? And then this young man thought, wow, you're a filmmaker, wow. I like to watch movies too. Oh, if I go there, would you have food? And of course, Walter said, yeah, just come. And then the next day, the door guard said, oh my gosh, Walter, there a group of beggars come. And then Walter came downstairs. That's true. There are about 20 or 30, those young boys. They're all beggars on the street. These not necessarily are the ones at that time. I think those people might even wear more rugs. And Walter said, I just asked you come alone, but why did you come with so many people? So many boys. And then this young man said, those are all homeless boys. They're like me. When Walter said, oh, come here. I have food and I have surprise for you. They are all homeless and they don't have parents. Could you also give them some food and surprise? And then Walter was very surprised. Wow, this child really has a big heart. Usually, people, when they have encountered something really good, a happy surprise, they would just have it themselves. And then this young man also said, if you're a filmmaker, could you look at all of us and see if there's anyone among us who is the most suitable person for that actor? And then and then Walter asked them took some water here and asked every boy to wash their face first, because otherwise he couldn't even see their faces clearly. And then after they washed their face, Walter saw that, some of them are really look good. And some of them really look even smarter than the first boy. And then Walter thought about it. Even though this young man is not the best candidate for the actor, but he always looks after others. He's so kind. I will choose you. I only pick you. Well, the other boys, I will also give them food. If I found other positions for them, I will think about them too. And so he signed a contract with this first young man. And this young boy became the actor in that movie, and then he got lots of awards. And this young boy's name is Vinicius. This is a true story. Right now, Vinicius is already a grown-up, and he's already the director of a filmmaking company, and he already has his own company, and he wrote his book, and he wrote about his biography and his stories that happened before. And on the front page, he also invited this kind director to write a foreword for him. And Walter wrote the foreword for him. Well, kindness doesn't need any test. When Vinicius was signing the contract with Walter, usually they need, your education or your whatever. And so Walter said, no, you don't need those qualifications. You've already had kindness. And also, Walter gave him a comment. He's so kind. He even gives the wonderful opportunity to other boys. And because of kindness, he didn't miss the great opportunity. I really would like to, I'm really touched by such a story about this filmmaker and the young boy, and I feel really inspired by the story. And I hope after hearing this story, you will feel the same too. Now, let's start chanting and chant to Guanyin Bodhisattva. Nam mô
世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无 世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无 观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨， 南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨， 萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩 好，下面呢，我为我们的网友朋友呢做一些加持啊。 对，尤其是身体不太健康需要帮助的朋友们拿东西来。
Bring me those stuff.
好，我呢用这个马铃薯为身体当中有病痛的朋友呢消除病痛希望让大家恢复健康。
I hope that will help you to get back to health.
网友朋友现在感觉到的那个病痛呢，有些部分应该过一会儿就消失了。
Some discomfort right now, it may disappear after a while. It sounds quite magic.
希望把你身体内的所有的有问题的部分全部清光清掉。
To clear all the impurities and whatever doesn't belong to you.
把你的病一块块的挖出来。
I'm digging out all your illness. See if you feel it. I hope your sickness, your illness will disappear after this. Bring me an apple. Your headache, any issues in your abdomen, any ailments and diseases in your abdomen will then supposed to disappear. I'll dig out your illnesses and afflictions.
好，再为大家直接
Now directly use Dhamma power to give you empowerment and healings.
一切邪气、病气
All those evil energy, malicious chi, and illnesses disappear.
大家搓搓手。
Alright. Now rub your hands.
轻轻地搓搓脸。
Gently run over your face. Get back to 7 years old. Back to 7 years old. Very lovely and naive, and then pat your head.
一切烦恼消失。
All afflictions disappear and gone like the dust.
拍拍身体。
Now pat your body.
All
right, now follow me and shout ha ha. And then after that, we will cough, and then energy goes out, goes up. And first from mouth, say ha. Again. Ha. Again. Ha. All right, now cough.
预备开始。
Start.
预备开始。
Again.
预备开始。
Again. I believe today there will be a lot of healings. I really healed with my heart. Even though it's a short time, I believe we'll have good results. And tomorrow at the same time, we will have the same live broadcast and the chanting group practice. Today, if you had good healings, you can send me messages. And after we have recorded this live broadcast, even for many, many years, I believe they will always be effective in healing. And you would, just now the blessing was health and illumination in the heart, and eliminate all the illnesses and evil energy. Wishing you all health and happiness. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much.
人生就此欢喜，我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇，小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。我智慧了，我宽容了，我慈悲了，我自在了。因为有了你，生命变得更坚定，不要忧虑。因为有了你，日子不再有哭泣。 就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点滴，越深变得神奇。我智慧了，我宽容了，我慈悲了，我自在了。因为有了你，生命变得更坚定。不忧忧因为有了你，日子不再有苦